Steven,
What's happening?
do you know what today is? You know what happened 20 years ago today?
20 years ago today.
You know what today is the 20th anniversary of?
2004. I know it's the anniversary of the Steelers-Cardinals Super Bowl because I've seen like 15 different clips from it, which just shows how special that Super Bowl was.
Arguably, maybe the best.
On this date 15 years ago or whatever, 17 years on this date 17 years ago, James Harrison picked it off in the end zone. It's like, yeah, a lot of other things happened on that game too. It's not just James Harrison, but anyway.
Yeah, but if you think about the most memorable play from that Super Bowl, that probably stands out.
Yeah,
well,
it does.
That and San Antonio Holmes game winning one, of course.
Santonio Holmes, Larry Fitzgerald, when all the talk was around him and Kurt Warner.
Mhm.
So there were a lot of those moments. But 20 years ago, 2004 February, I don't know.
Okay. It was, I went to the Super Bowl.
Oh,
It was the Panthers and Patriots. Do you
okay.
remember what happened at halftime? Little Janet Jackson.
Little Janet Jackson, little
Yeah.
wardrobe malfunction.
A little nip slip. And
Yeah.
I remember having the binoculars on. My older brother gave it to me. And I was watching the festivities. It was a big one. It was JT, Janet Jackson. I forget who else was a part of that.
I'm gonna have you naked by the end of this song.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
I was at my so wait, you had the binoculars.
Yes, because I wanted to see up close of everybody performing on the stage when you're so
Right.
far away from your seats. I'm trying to think of who else was in that Super Bowl halftime show.
Well, hang on. No.
Oh,
No.
Nelly. Was
More on-
Nelly a part of it? I'm pretty sure Nelly was.
I don't remember. More on the binoculars. Did you get a close up? Did you get a
Oh
view?
yeah. Oh yeah. I saw it.
So you weren't watching the other dancers. You had it right on JT and JJ as he accidentally.
I
ripped
knew
off the right
I
boob.
knew something happened. I was like, that like it happened so fast in the moment. You're like, well, that. Wait a minute. And like my 12-year-old mind was like, did I just saw what I think I did? And then later
Yeah.
on when we left the game, everybody's like, fuck the game. And actually it was a great game if you remember. Janet Jackson's boob was exposed to the world.
Yeah. I do remember that. I was 11, but I was watching it at my friend DJ's house. Shout out to DJ Cortez. We used to hang out all the time back in the day. And I was watching it at his house. I just remember watching. I remember seeing it, and I remember the look of terror in Janet Jackson's face as she put her left
she was a
hand,
part of it.
as she put her left hand up to her right boob and had to cover it. And then I remember looking in the paper the next day, and of course that was on the front cover. And JT's face, he's like, look at the way they caught the shot. It must have been like, this must have been happening in a split second. But she's just covering her boob and looking up at JT with her hair over her eyes, just with disgust, total disgust. And then JT's like looking down at the floor.
Yeah, but she was in on it.
Was she?
I'm pretty sure she was.
What makes you say that?
Because it wasn't like it was like a planned choreographed thing. Because that's what the line of the song is. I'll have you naked by the end of the song.
It sounds like it would be, but
it wasn't like Justin Timberlake just being like, and then like it was like a choreographed thing, from what I remember. I could be wrong.
You Alon here's weighing in.
Hey, Alon.
It was an inside job. She had a nipple shield on. It was 100% planned. Why wear a nipple shield if you didn't think your boob would come out?
Exactly.
I don't know.
She had like a little Kim thing going on.
But it's an uncomfortable leather outfit.
Yeah.
Wouldn't there be like chafing or something?
You'd think. Bottom line is,
we need Jesse to come on here for just your opinion, ma'am. Explain all this.
If she wants to give her expertise to this.
Yes. If you were wearing a leather pantsuit on stage and you're in front of the world, the most popular thing, the Super Bowl halftime show, all eyes are on you.
You could pay nothing.
Would you wear a shield?
Well, So prior to that, it was like I think MTV was doing those halftime shows.
Uh-huh.
And the one that had like NSYNC and Britney Spears. This one I think had P Diddy and Nelly, and because they were like doing the song from Bad Boys 2 that came out that year. And
Hmm.
after that, MTV was not allowed to do any more halftime shows. It was all older acts like Rolling Stones and Paul McCartney. They played it safe for a while until Prince came out in the rain in Miami in his he did Purple Rain with his guitar having the silhouette.
Oh, legendary.
Oh yeah, it was a good
Legendary.
performance. Probably one of the best actually.
Yo, Prince is right up there. I always think of Michael Jackson's whenever the idea, like the we've seen the question pop up now with Taylor Swift compared to Michael Jackson. Like I don't know what the comparison is. Like
Musically, right?
not musically, but like
Oh,
yes.
well, what are we talking about here?
Well, in terms of popularity.
I mean, is she really on Michael Jackson level?
Well, that's the thing, is that's the question, and I personally don't agree with it because no one can be Michael Jackson level unless they're able to stand on a Super Bowl halftime show stage, stand in the middle of it, and stand completely still, not do anything.
Well, that was Rihanna last year, wasn't it?
She didn't stand completely still for 5 minutes like MJ.
Well, she didn't move.
MJ well, yeah, she was pregnant, dude.
And I give her a pass.
But MJ stood still for like 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. Guarantee you, if Taylor Swift tried to do something like that, she'd be booed off the stage.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to be upset
And
because
anyone would have.
Do you think the average person watching the Super Bowl this year thinks that Taylor Swift is performing as opposed to Usher? Just because she's involved with, she's going to have her own suite. They're going to show her. I mean, if you guys are upset before, just wait for the Super Bowl. They're trying to appeal to everybody. And by the way, this Fox News agenda they're throwing out there, like, oh,
yeah,
this is all the libtards are trying to you shut the fuck up.
Yeah. They also thought that a bunch of the Democratic leaders were convening in a pizza joint in Connecticut and
which pizza place?
I don't know. But you remember the Pizzagate thing. They also thought that there was like a sex trafficking ring going on inside a pizza spot in a basement. So not really going to believe.
Apparently a lot of sex trafficking going on.
Not going to believe those. Good God, hope no one's just tuning in for that. I'm not going to believe that right-wing conspiracy theory thing that what the NFL is conspiring to have the Chiefs win so that because of Taylor Swift or something. That's it, right?
Oh, I'm sure Tony Romo will bring it up in the broadcast. I don't know, Jim. I mean, you got Taylor Swift. She looks like she could sing tonight. I don't know about this Usher guy.
Oh, look, here's Travis Kelce's wife, Jim.
Yeah.
He's going to call her that. Look, you know what, though? Like, think of the opportunity for the Super Bowl, though. Like, the amount of money that it's bringing in, the sponsorships that she's able to get. Like, Super Bowl halftime show or Super Bowl commercials, rather, they have, the usual suspects. Doritos, Snickers, I don't know. Take your pick. There's one that regularly comes.
Werther's Originals.
But oh yeah, that really
for all my people with dentures out there.
That really popular Werther's Original Super Bowl commercial.
Oh yeah.
But there's like a lot of different companies, whether it be in fashion or cosmetics or whatever. They're really throwing their money at the NFL to try and get their ads out there because they know how many eyes are going to be there just because of Taylor Swift. It's actually kind of genius. Yeah. Capitalism.
But I mean, like, she's been the biggest celebrity for a long time going to these games just because she's associated with Travis Kelce. There's going to be a lot of big names at this game, though. They'll do the celebrity shot. They'll have my man Wayne Newton, Dylan Parham.
Paul Rudd will be there.
Yeah, Paul Rudd would be there for the Chiefs. Who's the
Eric
biggest?
Stone Street.
Eric Stone Street. Yeah, all the big names that like the Chiefs. Jason Sudeikis, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the biggest 49er fan? I guess Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner's massive. Yeah, Jeremy Renner.
Well, but is he doing okay these days? I don't know if remember he got like wood chipper.
Oh God, no! It was I think it was not a wood chipper. It's not Fargo.
Okay, sorry.
It was a snowmobile.
I don't mean to be insensitive. I actually don't know what happened.
It was a snowmobile. I think he was like. I think he I think he saved like his nephew or maybe like a son or daughter or something like that. But yeah, Jeremy Renner is, I mean, he's from Modesto. Nobody really knows that he's like a huge 49er fan. Schoolboy Q is probably going to be there. He's a massive 49er fan too.
Is it really?
Yeah. There's a few others that are kind of random that the Niners are like close friends with. Snowplow. Thank you, Jesse. Yes, it was a
And
snowplow.
Wayne Newton's still alive. Abraham Cruz. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Jesus, I can't. There we go. Oh, Dr. Disrespect. That's another one. Who I heard really
That's
literally,
the game guy, the video game guy.
yeah, who I heard is legitimately lives up to that name. I heard he's kind of a dick.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, give the people what they want, I guess.
Bailey from WWE is a fan. Sick. I think Bailey joined 95.7 once.
Oh, did he? Okay.
She.
Oh, my bad. That shows how much I know about wrestling. Who's
Snoop Dogg will be wearing a 49ers jersey. That's from Milan. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's a fan of every goddamn team in the NFL. My man has repped the Raiders, the Seahawks, the Steelers. It's actually annoying. We got a lot of time to talk about the Super Bowl. It's more than a week away, and I'll be going for Media Row and then getting the hell out of there on Friday night. And come back and watch the game on my own TV. But before we have a lot of time to talk about the game itself, there's some NFL news that we need to get to. A lot of coaching news. We're done with all the head coaches. They all have jobs. Well, the teams have jobs. Some big name coaches don't have jobs. But this broke a couple of hours ago before we hopped on here. Cliff Kingsbury, and this was a name that was attached to the Raiders for a long time now, officially going to be the Raiders' offensive coordinator. Interesting also that I saw that Chip Kelly was in the mix. Apparently, Chip Kelly wants to come back to the NFL and be an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So is he done with UCLA?
Is that it? That's all you got?
What's up?
What happened? Was that
You
it?
okay? You okay there?
Yeah, I'm good.
What happened?
Nothing.
What the hell did you just say?
I thought you were going to keep going.
Oh no, Chip Kelly. There, Hugh Jackson, I think, interviewed as well. Sorry, you froze. I didn't know if I caught you mid sentence or something.
Oh,
yeah.
Nope, my bad.
But yeah, Chip Kelly, I think wants to come back in the NFL and be an offensive coordinator. I heard his name attached to Dan Quinn actually, but I think Dan Quinn's gonna go a different route, offensive coordinator wise.
Yeah, his boy was in the Senior Bowl this year. What's that defensive lineman's name from UCLA? Latu or something.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I know of the name. But yeah, man, Kingsbury is interesting because he interviewed with the Chicago Bears a couple weeks ago, and the connection there obviously is he coached Caleb Williams his last season at USC, and he didn't end up getting the job with Chicago. Shane Waldron is that offensive coordinator, but now that the Raiders went with Cliff Kingsbury, and by the way, they also interviewed Hugh Jackson, which is interesting because Hugh, once upon a time, was the head coach of the Raiders, which that would be weird if he came back as OC. But also, I guess this went under the radar. Marvin Lewis officially hired as a assistant head coach of the Raiders, so he'll be helping out Antonio Pierce. And Patrick Graham is going to be the defensive coordinator again. But Cliff Kingsbury. So when I saw this news, I was like, okay. They obviously want the offense to be a certain style. What are you laughing about?
I just love this idea that the Raiders were trying to create this little inner circle of former head coaches that were sort of successful.
Yeah, but not really.
But hiring the one who was the least successful. Like Chip Kelly was not. Yeah.
I'd say Kingsbury is more successful than Chip Kelly.
Yeah, more. Yeah. No, you're right there.
Well, hard to say. I mean, both went to the playoffs but didn't do anything. As far as Cliff, the last time we saw him, he got fired by the Cardinals. He couldn't get along with Kyler Murray, even though that was his guy. That's the guy that he wanted to draft. And he wanted to get away from football and go to Thailand and have an open-ended ticket. And now he's back. Although we all know he coached at USC last year. I always thought that maybe he'd take over for Lincoln Riley if he left and try to go to the NFL. But Cliff is going to be the offensive coordinator for the Las Vegas Raiders. And one has to think, does that mean that he's going to coach without socks? But also, because we have that photo of him with his feet up at his luxurious house in Arizona, which was
with
nice.
the weird lawn that was like not a lawn, but it was 8 different pieces of a lawn that was like not
Well,
a
not to
lawn.
be confused with Alon, our friend that fills in, but yes, a lawn.
a a lawn with 8 squares instead of it just being one big square.
All I know is, man, I was jealous of his house. He had a nice house.
It was pretty sick.
But when you see that, does it make you think the Raiders have plans at quarterback? Do they want to go after Caleb Williams? And that's easier said than done, obviously, because what are they, 13th in the NFL draft order or
Yeah,
15th, something like that? So it would be
13th.
hard.
13th, yeah.
And then one would think maybe they're in the Justin Fields sweepstakes because Justin Fields can play in a similar offense, I'm assuming, that Kyler Murray played in with Arizona. It just makes me think that they have an idea in mind of who they want their quarterback to be.
I hope that's a part of it, but I hope that's like I don't know what percentage I'd want it to be. I was kind of thinking about this earlier. Um, I think I want that to be like 25% of the reason that they got him. I want the main reason, like a majority of it, to be they felt like this guy was going to be the right fit, like regardless of who they get, because there's no point in hiring an offensive coordinator when there's no guarantee you could get whatever quarterback would be there. You mentioned Justin Fields, which I actually like a lot. I'm kind of growing more towards it as I'm looking at mock drafts and seeing pretty much every single one having the Bears drafting Caleb Williams #1. I'm thinking to myself, I don't want a free agent. Justin Fields, I think there's a lot of actually, I think he's tapped to quite some of that potential, but I think there's still some untapped potential there. Maybe get him in a system or an organization that isn't in disarray like it was with the Bears. I think it was a wrong fit at the wrong time for him. What's he going to be, like 26 next year?
Justin Fields? Yeah,
yeah,
around that.
26,
Probably
27.
younger.
So you still get him at a pretty good age. I'm growing more towards that, but I'd rather have them hiring Cliff Kingsbury if it means he's going to be the best guy for the job, not just because, oh, there's a chance that he could help them get a quarterback.
He'll be 25 in March.
Okay, gotcha. With the right quarterback, though, that's what it's about, because as we knew from Texas Tech, Cliff Kingsbury, all about that air raid offense. I like the idea of bringing him in and whoever the quarterback is next year, just letting it rip, man.
Yeah.
So I like the move. And I remember at times when, I'm not going to act like I was watching all Cardinals games when he was the head coach, but I do remember watching the 2 that I'd watch at least with the 49ers thinking, the game time decisions are stupid, but man, he could scheme it up at times.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the move.
I like it too. It's interesting, but it does make me wonder why he didn't get the job with the Bears. Because the reason that I heard that Shane Waldron, I guess everybody heard, I'm not saying anything like inside knowledge, but the reason that Shane Waldron got the job with the Bears is because he was comfortable with whatever situation they would go with, whether it was Justin Fields or Caleb Williams. And I'm assuming that Cliff Kingsbury would be too, but you can't tell me that they're not thinking about this. Like it's been said for a while now that Caleb Williams has interest in going to the Raiders. That's one of the teams that he put on his list, which is not a good sign when you're coming into the draft of teams that you want to play for. It's just, you should be grateful for the opportunity. But a lot of kids don't feel that way these days. But and I guess I'm not going to put a ton of stock into this, but apparently Colin Cowherd is saying that Caleb Williams does not want to go to the Bears. So he's going to cause a stink and demand a trade. I don't know. We'll see what happens. There's a ton of time before the draft happens. But I do like the idea of Cliff Kingsbury being offensive coordinator. I like the idea of pretty much having a head coach on offense and having a head coach on defense, Patrick Graham being that guy. And Antonio Pierce overseeing the whole thing. He's going to have a guy that he trusts in Marvin Lewis helping him out that's been a head coach before. Not a successful head coach, although he went to the playoffs quite frequently but never won. I think it's a good move, and I like having a certain identity on offense. I just wonder if guys like Devontae Adams fit in this offense. I'm assuming he would, but there's always the rumor that the Jets may try to swoop in and try to trade for him. And I'm starting to think that the Raiders would not get a first-round pick for Devontae Adams this offseason because just the age and the year that he had, it's starting to sound like he would garner more of a second round pick
Hmm.
or third round pick. Yeah, I mean, trades are interesting, man. Trade value, just because you have a big name doesn't mean necessarily you're going to be like, well, you're automatically a first round pick. Wide receivers rarely go for first round picks. I mean,
Right.
they're talking about like the Bills looking for compensation for just Stephon Diggs, and the market's saying that he's not worth a first round pick anymore. So we'll
Totally.
see what happens. But I think it's interesting. Cliff Kingsbury is going to have them hopefully score a lot of points. And as Antonio Pierce said in the press conference, I'm looking for 24 points minimum for my offensive coordinator. So hopefully Cliff Kingsbury brings that.
He's going to open it up, man. I really do like the move. Man, if they get either Caleb Williams or Justin Fields, so that's where it starts. That's where it starts. They got a lot to work on with the offense, even though it seemed like it was pretty well built. The offensive line still needs some work. I hope they
Yep.
build that through the draft. I've seen a lot of offensive tackles going in mocks so far to the Raiders, offensive tackles and defensive backs, not a lot of quarterbacks, which has me thinking like, okay, you could trade a bunch of your assets in order to get Caleb Williams. Devontae Adams, you could throw out there, but you'd probably, like you just said, might be only worth a second round pick. So you'd have to throw in a little more with that. But I don't think that'd be, if you could acquire Justin Fields for, man, I don't even know what it would take to get him, but I
Second
don't
round
think,
pick, probably.
yeah, second rounder, not that much. Not that much. I think that'd be worth it if you can manage to do that and you get a top offensive tackle in the first round. You're building that offense from the 13th pick. I'm kind of liking the way it looks right now. Look, this Kingsbury hire, he was not right as a head coach.
No.
And judging by the untold stories or the untold documentaries on Netflix and the one about Johnny Manziel, Cliff Kingsbury is going to let the players be themselves.
He's not
And
He's not a
he
disciplinarian.
is not. And that might work for an offensive coordinator. Antonio Pierce can keep guys in check. Cliff Kingsbury doesn't need to do that. If he just needs to focus on the X's and O's, and I'm going to take you to a little tweet by Peter Schrager, which is actually really funny. Him recreating the photo for one from 2020 draft. But also like Peter Schrager knows these guys and definitely texts with them. Right. He has these guys contacts. I know he's in conversations. And when he says something like, he's back, he's joining the Raiders, he's beyond fired up about it, he's rested, ready, and motivated as the new offensive coordinator. What more can you ask for? What more can you ask for?
Yeah,
Really?
I mean, we'll definitely see what happens. I think that, yeah,
Well,
look, I just what I say sometimes, Steven. Jesus. But just the fact that he's kind of chill and laid back, and yeah, I remember in the Untold Stories, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna let Johnny Manziel be Johnny, man. I'm not telling him to go to practice. I'm not telling him to go to class or whatever the fuck he wants to do, man.
That's a good impression.
Dude, I've been practicing, man. I remember that old. Well, it goes way back. Remember that Truth Machine we did where we were all the coaching bros?
Yeah.
You were Sean McVay.
I was Sean McVay. That's
Albie
right.
was Shanny. But he did like a bro version of it. He was like, "Yeah, hey, what's up, Cliffy the Spliffy?"
Yeah.
And then who else? Nash was Matt LaFleur. Alexander
God.
Scott was Zach Taylor. Solve, dude. And then Cody was awkward Adam Gase. It was fun. It was a fun little coaching bros thing.
The coaching frat. Missed those days.
But I think it will be good. I think that, yeah, he doesn't need to be a disciplinarian offense, and Antonio Pierce will be that guy. So, yeah, like I said before, Stephen, we'll see how it goes with Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator.
So what? You texted me earlier. You said kind of verbatim. I'm not reading straight from it, but you basically said it makes it so that they can try to trade up to go get Caleb Williams. You actually think they're going to do that?
I think that they're thinking about it. I think that Mark Davis, I think that he had the intention of trying to get Caleb Williams with the move of hiring Antonio Pierce as head coach, that they wanted to lose initially, and then the team played well underneath them. He's like, okay, so now we actually got something going on here. Yeah, I think they're going to attempt it. I think that they realize that they need to. Let's just say this: they didn't hire Cliff Kingsbury just so Aiden O'Connell could be the quarterback again.
Right.
I think that they're going to make an upgrade at quarterback. I think they want to have a certain style of offense. And I think they want a mobile quarterback. And I think this signals that with Cliff Kingsbury being offensive coordinator. So I think that they're looking at Caleb Williams. I think that Justin Fields is an option. And Alon brought this up with us. I'm hearing more and more. I'm not hearing, I'm just reading that Russell Wilson is an option as well. But I would also want that move to coincide with drafting another quarterback. But then it gets too convoluted. Then you got Aiden O'Connell as the third string guy. I don't think they need a veteran presence. I just think they need a young guy, whether it's Caleb Williams or Justin Fields or Jaden Daniels or even Michael Penix. I don't know what the deal is with him. I know a lot of people are freaked out by his medicals. I want to see what happens. I mean, I'll be completely honest. I ain't watching no Pro Bowl or whatever the hell it is this weekend. I'll catch a little bit of the Senior Bowl to see what's up with Michael Penix, but I I want to see what happens with him with the combine and whatnot, and if he's going to fall in the second round, maybe that's a good option.
Derek, I've watched a couple of drills out of the 3 days that they've
Oh,
been
have you now,
down there in Mobile, Alabama. So I
dude?
already
Let me
know.
just tell you. Could I just say
Mhm.
that was an excruciating experience over at NFL Network to get the
Why?
B-roll of the Senior Bowl.
Why?
Because they just wanted like particular things, like, hey, can we get the 101 drills of Quinn? God, who's that offensive tackle or that guard that went to the Broncos? He was huge, and he would his workouts were incredible, where he would like lift up like fucking logs. Quinn Minners or what? Daniel Jeremiah was obsessed with this guy. We had to get B-roll of him all day.
Oh, Quinn Meinerts?
Yes,
Meinerts?
and then I remember, like, they'd have all the panel, and Charles Davis was obsessed with Frank Darby, who the wide receiver from Arizona State, but I don't even know what team he's on right now. It was just in the weeds. Like, if you're scouting, it's fun, but if you're looking at B-roll all day long, it was just ugh.
Well, as I get to my point,
Sorry.
in my 2 days of watching the Senior Bowl and seeing, like, 3 minutes total worth of drills, I am going to just assume that Cam Hart out of Notre Dame is going to be an absolute stud. He was locking dudes up one-on-one. Jackson Powers Johnson, I believe is his name,
What a
from
name.
Oregon, the center. He was just moving dudes around. Hey, USC, if the USC connection's there, Jerry Rice's son looked really good.
Oh, nice.
Really good. He was looking good there. Then Michael Penix, actually, he stood out. He stood out among the quarterbacks. Honestly, the senior quarterbacks, Bo Nix and Sam Hartman, I don't know. They don't really do it for me, but Michael, there's something there with Penix. That dude, it's no secret that he has an arm, but I understand the whole injury factor.
So are you checking out the Senior Bowl?
Yeah, I'll be checking that out.
All right, there we go. I know the East West Shrine Bowl's on right now. I remember cutting the highlight for that one time too.
Ooh,
Yeah.
sounds like we need to create a shrine for that. Moving on.
Oh my God, Steven. Speaking of offensive play callers, I was surprised by this. Actually shocked. So after watching the first half of Lions 49ers,
Yeah.
I was thoroughly impressed with Ben Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way that this guy could scheme it up and his play calling all season long. I mean, coming into the season, we all said this guy's going to be a head coach, and he didn't disappoint. And last year, he had an opportunity to go be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers and have the number 1 pick. And he's from Carolina. He was in that organization for a long time, and he passed. And this time around, I thought, okay, well, this guy's going to be head coach of. He's probably going to be one of the leading candidates. For a while there, we thought maybe with the Chargers, and then once Adam Peters was hired as general manager of the Commanders, everybody said that Ben Johnson's the guy there. And so I just assumed, okay, he's getting that job. And it makes sense. They get the second overall pick. They get cap space. They got a brand new owner. Seems like a good fit for him. And I was expecting that move to take place after the NFC Championship game. It seemed like the Commanders were waiting on that as well. And sure enough, we got the notification report from Tom Pelissero. Ben Johnson is telling the Commanders and Seahawks, no thanks. I'm staying in Detroit, which I was absolutely shocked because I was like, this guy is a head coach and he's passing on multiple jobs again. I don't know if he was in the running for the Seahawks job because I think the Seahawks always wanted Mike McDonald. Minute, 1 minute. But um, yeah, I was shocked when Ben Johnson because they were literally on a plane. They were on a plane to go interview him, and he told them don't bother. So it I read a little bit too much into it. Apparently there was the whole thing of him wanting $12 million a year, which I think is actually there's some validity to that. Um, but it sounds like people are trying to make it seem like it's a Josh McDaniels thing, like he's just he's calling the shots, he's arrogant, he doesn't want to go to a bad situation. I think the reality is he's just not ready to be a head coach, and he likes working for Dan Campbell. And if they would have won that game, then maybe he thinks differently. But it sounds like he just really loves being an offensive play caller. He's really young. He likes being in the Lions organization. This team was on the cusp of going to a Super Bowl, and he just wants to do it again. And maybe he just didn't want to go work for the Commanders because with that job being filled today by Dan Quinn, that was the last spot to have a head coach. And I wonder if some people were kind of like, who is this Jay? What's his name? Jay Harris, the owner?
Yeah, Josh Harris.
Josh Harris. Who is this guy? He comes from the NBA. He's got Bob Myers trying to find the coach. Is this really where I want to go? I don't know. But I kind of commend Ben Johnson for not giving in. But also, it is kind of weird to me that he didn't want to be a head coach this time around.
I kind of fall into the category, though, of like, I understand head coaching jobs are available, but I was saying this when Robert Saleh was with the 49ers. And I think like after his second year, there was rumors that he was going to be a head coach somewhere, but then he waited like one more year. And I remember thinking to myself after that second year, and I went on that pregame show, 5 a.m., 95.7 The Game, taken over by Spadoni. Shout out Spadoni. I remember thinking, why leave something that's so good, especially if you're just going to go to the Commanders and Seahawks? Like, the Seahawks are actually in a really good place. And I think if the Seahawks have another spectacular draft, they've had two great ones in a row, like franchise altering drafts where you're getting automatic franchise starters right there at the first two. But in this third one, they could really do some damage. I think if they get an edge rusher or something, that defense could be pretty formidable with Mike McDonald. But offensively, with Ben Johnson's skill set, I don't know. You're getting an aging Geno Smith. Tyler Lockett ain't getting any younger. Obviously, you got DK, and then Kenneth Walker, though he's fantastic. Kenneth Walker's been hurt for a couple of years, for the first couple of seasons. So I think that when I heard that, I was not as shocked as you were. And then I heard the money thing, and I'm sure the money angle is a little overblown. That's all we want to look at. But I also read something that said he likes Detroit. His family likes Detroit. And he had a long talk with his wife about it and just thought it wasn't the right time. So maybe they didn't want to move to DC or move to Seattle, and for whatever reason, just love being in the Motor City. I don't know, but it probably had to do with the life angle to it as well. So I get it, but I'm not one of those guys that subscribes to, oh, if this dude's a great coordinator, then automatically he should be a head coach. Like if his team is on the cusp like they were, and they're going to be largely unchanged next year and can only really improve. It's not like they're going to have anyone leaving the team anytime soon. They get still the same offensive line, same receivers. Their running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, probably still going to be the 1-2 punch. Their defense is going to get better. And they made it to the NFC Championship. Why not give it one more shot and then just wait for next year's head coaching cycle?
I hear all that and I respect that, but I also, nothing's ever guaranteed. You never know if you're going to get another opportunity again. And I'm assuming he's going to. And you would think that. But just to be like that confident, like, I don't want to do that right now. I respect that, but also you don't know what's going to happen next year. They could have a down year. Who knows? I still think he would get a head coaching opportunity. But I will say I think that it's very interesting that he feels that way because, maybe he's not like Dan Campbell. Maybe he's not a leader of men. But we don't know that yet. Like Cliff Kingsbury wasn't a disciplinarian, so he just let everybody, walk all over him like Kyler Murray. So maybe he needs to learn how to do that stuff. Maybe he's taking it very seriously because how many offensive coordinators become head coaches and just flame out?
Right.
Like Arthur Smith I think it's a really good hire. Not a head coach, but a great play caller. And when you have the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, I'm assuming he's going to help that offense greatly. And I would also assume that probably Ryan Tannehill is going to be the backup there to challenge Kenny Pickett. Even though Mason Rudolph played in the playoff game, I think they probably move on from him. Just some guys are not cut out to be head coaches. Case in point, Josh McDaniels. So I think that he wants to be a head coach. Just now isn't the time. He's also really young. He's 37. Mike McDonald was just named head coach of the Seahawks, and he's the youngest head coach in football now. Think of that now. They go from 72-year-old Pete Carroll to 36-year-old Mike McDonald. And now the oldest head coach in the NFC West is, Steven?
Kyle Shanahan?
Yep. It goes Kyle Shanahan, Jonathan Gannon, Sean McVay, still the second youngest head coach in football, and then Mike McDonald. All young in the division now. Yeah.
Yeah. They're all going to be rocking Jordans. Love Lil Wayne. Rappers.
Why did all the coaches love Lil Wayne? Kyle loves himself some Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
I never was a Lil Wayne guy.
Really?
I mean, I liked, Bling Bling and the Cash Money Millionaires, but I'm not a big Lil Wayne guy.
So you liked him when he was like 17?
Yeah, with the big timers.
And you're just off of him when he was at his peak, when every feature that he was on was a hit, when he was coming out with No Ceilings mixtape, one of the greatest mixtapes of all time, when the Carter 3 came out, which is one of the greatest albums of all time. And I don't care what you say, it absolutely is. Let that beat build, bitch.
I just didn't care for his voice. I like that.
Oh, you didn't like that? You
don't like it? Yeah. Just not a fan. But hey, I respect him. The man can rock a mic. By the way, how about Steve Young? Each week now, he hangs out with Lil Wayne when the Packers come into town. For whatever reason, Lil Wayne is a Packers fan, and then he talks shit to Eminem at halftime, saying, "Hey, all right, you're up 24-7. Not a big deal, okay? Call me when it's 34. All right, Marshall, okay?"
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he came out with us the other day, and he was like, "All right, okay, you're up 24-7. Hey, you never tasted this before. You know if this is gonna happen. When whoever scores 34 is gonna win this game." And sure enough, he was right.
God, I love that. I love that though. So he was actually talking to him.
Yeah, he went to go see him at halftime, and Eminem was like, "I gotta talk to Steve Young." So they were chatting up at halftime, which begs the question: is Steve Young gonna go talk shit to Taylor Swift at halftime of the Super Bowl, or is he gonna go to Kansas City rapper Tech Nine? Which
excellent question.
Does Tech Nine have? I mean, my man's been around for quite some time, but is he Super Bowl? He's gonna have that kind of money because his albums don't sell like Eminem and Lil Wayne.
Oh no, because he's independent and he doesn't have any labels controlling everything. Oh, he has a lot of money. I actually read up on. So random. I read up on this the other day.
Really?
Yeah. Because he's independent and been independent, like he's just raking in all the cash. He's not having to worry about record labels, managers, all that sort of stuff.
Good for him, man.
So he's managed to do this through the years. One of my all-time favorite rappers. Love me some Tech.
Tech Nine, yeah, like the guys that stay independent, you respect, like him and my man Pharaoh Monch, just never like get him big, but like stayed in the streets and the underground. You're like, the guy kept it real always when it came to hip hop.
Yeah. Him and Taylor Swift are going to be in a suite going Casimo. Whoa.
But yeah, so Ben Johnson's going to stay with the Lions, and good for him. He'll probably get, a good job next season if he wants it. I think now he has the option to do whatever he wants. So then the Commanders go with Dan Quinn, and Dan Quinn's a fine head coach. The last time we saw him, he gave up 48 points to the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. I thought that he was going to get the Seattle job, but I think it's smart that Seattle went with the younger guy and the guy that actually made Brock Purdy look uncomfortable this season. I would thought that Mike Vrabel would have been interesting in Seattle, but Mike McDonald's actually a good choice with the Seahawks. I don't know if Dan Quinn, though, is the best choice for a team that needs to rebuild. this kind of feels like the same thing of going from Ron Rivera to Dan Quinn, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I think the biggest difference is Dan Quinn is now familiar, having spent the past, I guess, what would it be? I guess it would be 3 seasons now, right? Yeah, the past 3 seasons in the
Cowboys.
NFC East. So his familiarity, I think, is like the biggest reason as to why. Because look, I didn't think the Commanders was an attractive job for anybody. Somebody had to go there though, and I wouldn't be surprised. I know they interviewed like Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel, but it's like you
Did
created
they though?
yeah, that's the thing, is like you created an entire advisory committee just so you could interview guys like Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel, who I thought were shoo-ins to be
Yeah.
head coaches this year, and you're just going to pass up on them so you can hire the guy who helped give up a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. I kind of looked at it and I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
that's how I felt. Like I thought Dan Quinn could have taken over a good situation already, like if he became the Chargers head coach, but they wanted to go big with Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, if I was the Washington Commanders, I would have hired Belichick or Vrabel because I think those guys, you have to give them a lot of control. That's the thing. I don't know if Adam Peters is there. I don't know if those guys want to work with him because they want control of everything. So I always thought that Belichick was going to go to the Washington Commanders just because I thought he wanted to be on the East Coast, and I thought that Josh Harris would want a big name head coach, but that didn't happen. And I think just a lot of I'm like this is going to be interesting now with both of those guys, Belichick and Vrabel, not having jobs this season, and maybe being in media, but they'll be like along with Ben Johnson, those three names will be the biggest head coaches next season, and places like Philly, Dallas, New York Jets, possibly New York Giants, Buffalo, all potentially with coaches on the hot seat. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when those coaches want to look to continue their careers next season.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you had to pick number 1 and number 2, who would it be?
I think Vrabel wouldn't need as much control as Bill. It sounded like Bill had the Atlanta job, it just his arrogance got the better of him. But I still would hire him, and I think a team will eventually because he does want to break Don Shula's record.
Tom Shula.
Tom Shula, sorry.
The great Tom Shula. Jim Tom Shula.
Jordan Payroll. Vrabel, I'm surprised didn't get a head coaching job.
Yeah.
Because I know that he, for whatever reason, I never heard this before. I know Belichick has been viewed as negative. I didn't think Vrabel was, but he comes from Belichick, not as, a coach, but as a player. And I guess that people just didn't want to deal with him with what he's done in the past, with the GMs just not getting along with them. So I thought Washington would have been a good spot for him. I thought that the Seahawks would have been a good spot with him. Like I said before, he's the only guy that I've seen that's a defensive-minded coach that has beaten all the piss boys, the play callers, Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, Mike McDaniel, Sean McVay. He's beaten all those guys, and he has a defensive scheme that can beat them. So I'm surprised that no one wanted to go after him, but he will be ever sought after this season. But it feels like it's going to take, it's going to be a full year till those guys coach again.
I want to see Mike Vrabel on the sideline again. I'd be totally fine if Bill Belichick wasn't. Just tired of him.
You don't want to see him break the record? You want to see him break Tom Sula's record?
Just so he can have no reaction and just sitting there in the hood, just all pissed off. It's like you break the record. Like, what if it takes him 2 seasons to do it, and they just go, I don't know, 7-10 the first year, and then 8-9 the second year. All right. Well,
is he only 15 away?
So he's 15 away. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I think. I'm pretty sure.
It'll be history then.
It would be history, but it's just.
I don't mind him. I mean, I know everybody hates how just curt he is, but I do love just when people ask him a straight up question. He's like, yeah, I'm not answering that, or day by day. Day by day.
We always get this reaction every time Piss Boys are brought up.
You guys didn't listen to the play callers?
It's great pod.
It was a great podcast by Jordan Rodrigue, and It was all about the Washington guys that were, Mike Shanahan and, his group, Kyle, Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel, Matt LaFleur. They were all called the Piss Boys.
Goes even further with Robert Saleh and
Yeah,
Raheem
Robert
Morris.
Saleh. Yep, exactly. So there you go. That's the answer, Otis Bird.
Yeah, they were called the Piss Boys when they were quality control guys, just because they literally do everything, including like cleaning the piss off of the rim of the toilet seat or something. Some gross stuff.
Okay, fans need to stop with this. Imagine if Bill Belichick is DC with the Niners. Okay, everybody, that ain't happening. And I'm surprised. Whoever asked Kyle Shanahan that, like, would you entertain Vrabel or Belichick as a defensive consultant? Those guys aren't taking that job. You out of your mind?
Yeah, let's just help the Niners win.
But like at this point in their careers, they want to be defensive consultants. Come on. Those guys are counting their money, just gonna chill. Belichick's gonna, like I said, go try to find some nice one-night stands with Nick Saban as his wingman until Miss Terry tells him to go home. And Vrabel's gonna. I can see Vrabel being good on TV. I actually could see him being more lively and better than Belichick. I think both will probably work at TV this year.
Vrabel would be good, but I would be interested in hearing Belichick. Then he just goes on like a 10-minute rant about long snapping. It's like, Bill, that long snap was 2 possessions ago. We're on to the next drive. we're 5 minutes into the second quarter. That long snap was from the first quarter.
Well, let me ask you this, because it sounds like this is actually going to happen this season, finally. Tom Brady's ready to go to TV, it sounds like. He did the interview with Pat McAfee, and it sounds like he's going to do it for Fox. Do you, like, now that Belichick's available, do you want him, like, replacing maybe Jimmy Johnson or somebody, like, on that
yes,
that studio?
Yes.
Yeah, you better?
Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah, Terry's struggling these days.
Terry's struggling. I'm sorry. I've said it at the beginning of the season with the highlights and everything. I just don't know what he adds anymore. Used to be funny, not really funny anymore.
Well, awkward moments where he's kissing chefs on Thanksgiving.
There's that. I just don't need to see Terry Bradshaw anymore on the TV. I love Jimmy Johnson. I could keep Jimmy Johnson on there because he has this infectious smile, and then he has the hair. Then when they pull back the camera and they have the wide shot of all 5 guys, then you realize how small Jimmy Johnson is, yet he was intimidating everyone when he was a head coach.
Oh my God, that halftime speech, he's going to poop his pants.
I love Jimmy. I love having Jimmy there, but put Bill Belichick in Terry Bradshaw's place.
Boy, that would be a difference of
win Bill Belichick's money.
Oh my God. Yeah. I could see Fox wanting to. I mean, Belichick at Fox, and he's like going on Cowherd, giving his takes on the season and everything. Well,
what's the problem with that?
Well, the thing about that, Colin, is, Brock Purdy's a system QB. He's not a game manager.
I think he'll be a lot better as an analyst than he is speaking to the media, because Tom Brady, like even I do this, right? I say Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett were from the Tom Brady media coaching tree, where 90% of whatever you say is not true. Create something. And I think Tom Brady comes from the Bill Belichick school of media coaching, which is don't say anything.
Yeah.
But I think if he has an analyst job, that's when they'll actually get to divulge a little bit more what they know, what they're seeing. Bill Belichick could be the next Doc Rivers for all we know, and he could get an analyst job, and then all of a sudden a coach gets fired mid-season and Bill Belichick's right on the phone.
Oh, that'd be crazy mid-season if that happened.
Yeah. But is it that crazy? Doc Rivers already out here blaming his players, by the way.
So, I haven't watched the Bucs yet, but is he 0-2 since he took over as Bucs head coach?
I think so, yeah. They lost
spoiled Dame Lillard's coming back party.
Yeah. And apparently it wasn't him that spoiled Dame Lillard's coming back party. It was Brook Lopez who spoiled his coming back party. He blamed
I need to get ready
Lopez.
I am not ready for this NBA trade deadline. I have not watched enough NBA already this season. And I know the season's almost over. Like, we got a couple months and then the playoffs start. I just feel like it goes like right after football.
Yeah.
Speaking of Brock Purdy, I don't know if we even brought him up. I think I did a little joke there. Cam Newton. You want to play this clip, Steven?
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
there's a couple of clips I'd like to play, but
Okay.
I'm gonna wait to play the last two after this because this is the one that's kind of making the rounds. But
Damn right it is. What's the name of Cam Newton's little podcast?
4th and 1.
Fourth and One. Well, I shouldn't say little. It's bigger than ours. Can say that
His
honestly.
hat is bigger than our podcast.
True. So we got a little warthog on his hat.
I think it's a wolf.
Okay.
Derek, warthog.
Well, from a distance, looks like a snout.
What do you think he has? What do you think he has? Pumbaa just on a hat?
Why not?
When he was a young warthog.
Anyway, Cam Newton won't let it go. I understood what he was saying last time when he said Brock Purdy is a game manager, not a game changer. But at this point, like whatever, play it.
I've never said that Brock Purdy was trash. What I did say is Brock Purdy is a game manager. That's not hate. That's just what I feel to be facts. But I still reserve the right to say this. To be labeled a game changer, Brock Purdy has to be the best player on the offensive side of the ball. And that's not the case.
And who's the best player?
Christian McCaffrey. Man, look, I ain't recanting shit. And if you really want to just be honest, if you add in the defensive talent and you add in the offensive talent, Brock Purdy is the 10th best player on this team. Okay, cool. Did he have a great game? Yes. Is he been playing out of his mind? Yes. Is he a quarterback that's hot? Yes. But he's still the 10th best player on his team.
Okay, before we get to the content, number one, him saying I ain't recanting shit. That's gonna be part of my vocabulary from now on. Anytime I say something, I'm gonna be saying I'm not recanting shit. But I also love that his producer's just in the background agreeing with him, like when he's trying to clarify what he means about Brock Purdy and that he's actually good.
Well, don't all these guys do that now? Like with all these big name podcast hosts that just have like their buddies be their co-hosts. They just agree with them.
Yeah, I need. I just love in the background. You could hear him, and he's not even like just saying. He's not even saying yes. He's more just like, in the background. Just listen one more time.
I ain't recanting shit. And if you really want to just be honest, if you add in the defensive talent and you add in the offensive talent, Brock Purdy is the 10th best player on his team. Okay, cool. Did he have a great game? Yes. Is he been playing out of his mind? Yes. Is he a quarterback that's hot? Yes. But he's still the 10th best player on his team.
Okay.
Well,
so, I mean, yeah, but that's not the point, Cam. The point that he was making was that he's a game manager. So why does he need to be the 10th best player?
Right.
Regardless. Okay, so let's go through it then, Steven. Who the 10 best players on the Niners?
Well, I could give you the 10 best players that he put.
Okay, go for it. Oh yeah. What did he say?
So actually, you know what? I got it on Twitter right here.
He also calls him Brock Purdy.
All right, you got McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. Could agree there. Debo and George Kittle. I'd actually flip those two probably. I think George Kittle is more vital to the offense than Debo is, believe it or not. I think Kittle's the most underrated type of guy, like just with everything. I personally think he's the 5th. But then you got Debo, George Kittle, Charvarius Ward, Dre Greenlaw, Brandon Ayuk, and Brock Purdy. Yeah, that is a bad list. That's the bad list. If you don't put Purdy's got to be top 4, I'm okay with, but you got to put Purdy number 5 if you're gonna.
I can make the argument you could put him 7, but doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, okay, when the New England Patriots were in the early 2000s, I think you can say the same thing about Tom Brady, Willie McGinnis, Ty Law, Teddy Bruschi, Lawyer Malloy. All those guys were better than Tom Brady at that time, and it wasn't until Tom Brady won Super Bowls and got Randy Moss and Wes Welker where you were like, okay, this guy is a game changer. To me, I honestly think too many people have too many podcasts these days, and we give too much credence to dumb shit. The reality is that Brock Purdy, if he wins the Super Bowl, will not only solidify that he's one of the best quarterbacks in football, and this whole system quarterback, moniker is bullshit. He's going to be one of the best Niner quarterbacks of all time. This guy's going to be up there with Montana and Steve Young as far as quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls. Get ready for that. But this whole idea of, like, why does it matter? Yeah, there could be 10 49ers that are better than Brock Purdy. Who gives a shit? I don't give a fuck about this anymore. I'm so tired of this topic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing, is like, what's the point of the second half then? So, like, are you, he's like, he's still a game manager. And let me say this, might not even be top 10 on the team. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything.
So does that mean that if he wins the Super Bowl, it doesn't mean anything? Like, it just means like, oh, well, then this guy's up there with Trent Dilfer and Brad Johnson as quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls that aren't worth a damn?
Yeah. He's also, he's too stubborn, man. He's too, you can't be stubborn in media nowadays. You got to be willing to change your mind or admit when you're wrong. Admit that, you know what, like what I said before, maybe it was inaccurate. Like, listen to this. This isn't even the one that got any pub because he was actually being nice about it.
Stop it.
Right.
I see the motherfucker ball and I see him make plays. That motherfucker is good.
Yeah.
He's good. But damn, dog, like, come on.
You never said he was bad.
I never said he was bad.
Ever. Never said he was bad.
So
Cam.
please, world, 49ers.
That hat looks great.
Fucking
Cam.
media. Stop
It's a
the
word.
narrative of Cam hating on Brock. Fuck no. Brock, I hope y'all win the motherfucking Super Bowl. I really do. And I'm not saying this as a backhanded compliment, because I don't even think the world would be ready if the Kansas City Chiefs wins another Super Bowl with the fucking Taylor Swifties.
Oh my God.
And the Travis Kelce's and the motherfucking, oh my goodness, what would Kansas City look like?
Okay. All right. We don't need to play any more of that.
But then why make the list?
I don't get it.
It is a backhanded compliment because you're saying there's 10 players better than him on the Niners. But can't you just say like he's a game manager and that's okay?
But you know what, though? I'll say this just to kind of back him up a little bit. I guarantee you Niner fans were calling him trash and going at him for his career and his playing days, and he probably took that very personally. So he thought long and hard about how he's going to formulate this take where he's still going to maintain his word, but somehow keep the whole idea that Purdy's trash by the wayside and then just create this whole thing. So from that standpoint, I mean, he's trying to back himself up, and I think he really took it personal when people are starting to get on him for his career. And Alon's saying he was like a great college quarterback or something, but I'm sorry. His 2015 season was as fun as any season that I've ever seen. Like, that was awesome when he was an all-pro, MVP, offensive player of the year, everything. Like, that was great. But like, everyone got personal with it. So it's just, I don't know, man.
I personally didn't have a problem the first time he said it, where he just,
I didn't. I actually agreed with the 12-minute video that he came out with explaining why it's not too bad to be a game manager.
I didn't mind that.
Keep on going.
Yeah, but then the whole thing with Debo and him recording the video at the airport, where I'm sure people were like working at a Cinnabon being like, is that Cam Newton over there?
Hang on, I'm gonna get my phone. I gotta get my computer charger. I'll be listening to you. I can hear you. It's just 5 feet away.
Okay, go for it. I don't know, dude. I don't really care. I mean, then you have people like Alex Smith that are backing him up. You have people like Luke Kuechly that are backing him up. I don't know. I don't really care. Like, if we're talking about like the top 10 quarterbacks in football right now, yeah, Brock Purdy's probably not on my list, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, if this guy wins a Super Bowl, who gives a shit? Like, does he have all of the intangibles that the other guys in the league have? No. He fits for what Kyle wants to do, and that's okay. And he's in the Super Bowl, for Christ's sake. Like, we're going to question this guy?
Yeah.
Like, and even Jed York said it today. It was like, when, Kyle told me that our third string quarterback's the best quarterback on the team, I was like, well, that's not what I want to hear. But it's true. Like, what if they win this thing? Are people going to be like, well, this really makes up for them, drafting Trey Lance and doing all those draft picks. Like that could have flamed out there. No one cares about that anymore because they found this guy. So I don't really care about any negative things that people have to say. At this point, it's just to stir shit up. And yeah, I do not care. I've seen the guy play. He's not a system quarterback. He fits well in Kyle's system, but he plays very well. He makes off-schedule throws. He makes moves with his feet. The guy is, in my opinion, better than Tua. That's all you need to say. That's it.
So what if I tell you he's the worst quarterback in Super Bowl 58?
He's the worst quarterback in like between him and Mahomes.
Yeah.
Well, he needs to play well to beat him. But that's the thing. Like, of course, and like your defense can't just carry you in this game. Like, this isn't just gonna be like the 2000 Ravens or the 02 Bucks where the defense was just incredible. Like, no, I will be very surprised. You can never say never in games because anything could happen. I would be surprised if Patrick Mahomes throws 5 interceptions and 3 of them returned back for touchdowns.
Yeah.
Mark that down, by the way.
Yeah. But if I were Niner fans, if I was a Niner fan, I'd get away from caring about the critique and I'd just straight up take it as, yeah, all right, we got the best team right now. If Brock Purdy's the 10th best player and he thinks that, then we got a damn good club. And this is a football team that's ready to win and win now. And it's not like their window's going to close after this year through the offseason. It's not like they got to fire anyone. It's not like they got to get rid of anybody. They made it this far and they did it convincingly.
Yep.
I just think that, I don't know, just find a new way to take this Brock Purdy criticism and set it. Because I also, it gets personal. And now, like, I mean, look at AJ Cruz. AJ Cruz is get this clown off my screen. And it's just like, can't speak anymore. Nice guy. It isn't the critique so much as it's the only thing anyone wants to talk about. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But it's the quarterback. It's kind of like ESPN and FS1 talking about the Cowboys all day today or yesterday and today. Good God. Good God.
Not even in the Super Bowl. I'll tell you, man, when I was working at NFL Network, producer that was there for a long time, Kingsley Smith, guy from Texas, would always comment when I wore like a Texas shirt. He'd be like, "Oh, UT, that's my team." He always, like, there was one season where he wanted me to help him like look at the ratings like minute by minute, like Mike McDonald, minute by minute, and things shut up when the Cowboys were on when they were discussed. So I remember helping him one time with that. And he was like, "Oh, this is great. You got to help me every week with this." And I was like, "No, I do not. No, thank you." That's just the truth. The Cowboys are America's team, unfortunately, when it comes to content. They are just the most popular team by far in the NFL.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're gonna be talked about on First Take, and it's an easy target for Stephen A. Smith. But it's just lazy. It's lazy as much as the Brock Purdy discussion, because no one could just say he's good in his own right. Like if Tom Brady were around today in his early in his career, would be the same conversation. It's just, well, this guy is not elite. He's not in the same conversation as Mahomes or Josh Allen. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Does anyone remember Mark Rippon? No. Guy won a Super Bowl. But no one's gonna go. He's not gonna go down as a Hall of Famer.
No, I don't remember him. I know Ripon, California.
Okay.
Do you know Ripon?
The area?
Yeah.
No. Where is it?
Wait, Ripon is an R-Y-P-I-E-N?
Yes.
Wow. I do know Mark Ripon. I remember Mark Ripon.
God bless you, Mark. No, but yeah, I mean, like,
okay.
This thing is just, I'm tired of it.
How about this?
Okay.
Nick Bosa today, offensive lineman, Jawan Taylor and Donovan Smith. He was asked what he saw on film, what he's evaluated so far, and he gave a very short, sweet answer. Just said, they hold a lot. That's it. They hold a lot. And this is just me. All right, this is just me. We've talked about it on the pod before. If there's anything that you don't do against the team with championship pedigree, you got to respect them and understand that bulletin board material is bulletin board material. I'm not saying this means the 49ers are going to lose. I'm not saying any of that. But just don't give Mahomes, Kelsey, any reason for them to create an enemy out of you. Because it's funny to me that the Mahomes, not funny actually, it pissed me off. It's not funny, it pissed me off how just hypocritical we can be when it comes to sports. Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, when he was creating narratives in his head about the opponent, something that he said, I think Kobe did this too, something that he would say, even though he didn't say it, and he'd make it all up just so he could find that motivation to going into a game. Did the Justin Tucker place kicker thing, when you try to get the whole idea out the way, maybe Travis Kelce really is a jerk. No, these guys are stuck up. No, they are champions, and they were actually taking it pretty seriously, and they are finding something, anything to get them pissed off. They want to be pissed off heading into that sort of game, especially against the opponent. Nick Bosa saying something like that. Juwan Taylor and Donovan Smith probably do hold a lot. And looking at the holding calls, they got quite a few this year. But speaking ill against the other team, against that team, the Chiefs, it's not Donovan Smith and Juwan Taylor I'm worried about. It's the guy who's under center. You need to give him more reason to want to beat them other than just the Super Bowl. It's just me. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you. I saw that quote and I didn't really think too much about it. I think that's just Nick Bosa just being his, lackadaisical self, just being like, I see on film they hold a lot, man.
It could be, but you don't like it.
I know you don't poke the bear. I get it.
Wasn't yeah, I mean, even though he is the bear technically, and maybe he's getting it out there now. Like if there is potential holding, it's something that could hurt them yet again. Obviously, that happened with the Chiefs back in 2019. I don't know. I'm that type of individual who thinks that these champions get fueled and they find any little thing. I
don't think they're scared of him. I think the Niners want to play the Chiefs really bad.
Oh, I don't think they're scared of them at all.
What happened last time?
I don't think they are at all, but I think they should at least respect them a little bit and respect
I think they do.
Idea.
No, I think they do. I just think that Nick's just being.
I don't think Nick respects those linemen.
Maybe not, but I think that he also, like he said, the Niners got to play the Eagles again one day, and he said, we put the blueprint out there, man, for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, but that was after.
I know, but I just think that's how he is. I think he just doesn't give a shit. He's going to say how he feels. I will say though, very genuine moment between Nick Bosa and Brock Purdy in the locker room. You see that clip?
Yeah,
where he was just like, "Man, did you know that you were going to be good? Like I was drafted second overall, and I had confidence issues." Brock, that's what separates Brock. Like we can talk about he's not as good. That dude is as confident as I've seen as quarterback in quite some time. He has Mahomes level confidence. He has more confidence, I think, on the field than Josh Allen does. When I see Josh Allen play in big games, I don't see what I see from Brock Purdy.
No, you see Josh Allen's eyes wide. You see him skittish. You see him sometimes looking to run first, whereas Purdy just is patient and takes what the defense gives him. But yeah, pretty tender moment. But good God. He's just, I don't know, bro. Yeah. Kind of looks like Shia LaBeouf. Young Shia LaBeouf.
Purdy?
Yeah. Maybe not.
John Harbaugh.
That's much better comp.
You saw that awkward thing on Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Hey, people say we look alike.
People say we look alike. Hey, we just kicked your ass. People say we look alike. I'm your doppelganger.
It's that's like the nicest thing you'd say after someone just kicks your ass. By the way, Jim Harbaugh today. You see the press conference?
No.
Oh, my man was on one.
Really?
He was every LA media member. Hey, this is I forget who the first guy was, but he's like, hey, this is so-and-so, Jim, welcome to LA. You're a legend, man. You're a legend. Oh, you're a legend. Oh, you're a legend. Just went back and forth for a while. And then Bill Plaschke's like, Bill Plaschke, LA Times, another legend here. Get interviewed by legends. And then he's talking about how he wants to live in an RV for a little while. and just live near Disneyland till they find a house near the facility. And then the topper was him going, "Yeah, I've been watching a lot of. You guys know the show Ted Lasso? Yeah, great show. I have a great story about how I met Jason Sudeikis. Doesn't tell the story, just says that. Yeah, I have a great story of how I met Jason Sudeikis. Yeah, Ted Lasso, that's the show. You guys seen it? Yeah. I think there's a good life lesson at every show. Yeah, Ted Lasso. Like,
Does he have ADD or something?
yeah, I just think that he doesn't realize like what's popular, so he just like, you guys see this YouTube TV? Yeah, it's pretty crazy, huh? Like, yeah, Ted Lasso. You guys ever heard of that? Yeah.
You see this new thing with YouTube TV? Go watch 4 screens at once.
I was in
Put that on
hog
there.
heaven.
Put there, I don't know. I was watching the college basketball tournament last year, multi-view. I didn't know where to look. Yeah, so many screens, 4 of them. It's like so much excitement coming at you at once. Hey, let's talk to Justin Herbert. He's over there.
Yeah, I know, but it's just funny to me. Like, I can't picture Harbaugh digging Ted Lasso. He's like, hey, there's an episode where someone gets an abortion. I don't know if I like that. Just the values don't really add up with what he's all about. But
Otis Bird, Jim Harbaugh, an interesting guy. Remember when he mentioned that he watches Judge Judy? Do you remember when he was on Judge Judy?
Yes, I do remember that. I do remember when he was on Judge Judy.
Oh man, not in the defendant or the plaintiff podium, but just in the audience, not actually there. Judge Judy, I think
he was just observing.
He was observing. Yeah, where's the?
I tell you, man, that Judy, man, she gets shit done.
It's true. What was she representing? That Nikki Haley. Shout out to Judge Judy. No, he was here. Hang on. Hang on.
You got Jack loving it too.
I haven't seen this video. I've just seen him kind of stoic, just watching. I haven't seen this one with the crazy laugh from Judge Judy and then Jim Harbaugh and Jack following along. What? Look at that. That's what are we laughing at? What are we laughing about? Huh?
I just like the idea of Jim going to a shit ton of tapings now because he lives in LA. You just see him at the Price is Right. Oh, look at these people, man. Just seeing things and how much they cost. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Oh, man.
See him in the background of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Yeah, I knew the answer to that. I didn't think to say anything though.
Is it a deal or no deal? Deal or no deal? I don't know.
Yeah, it's Deal or No Deal Island. How do you get a whole island of suitcases? It's crazy.
Hey God, can we? He didn't know what he was laughing at. Huh?
Oh man, he's gonna be a beauty in the NFL. Steven, we are 1 week exactly from the NBA trade deadline. Going to be at noon on February 8th, and kind of late now. I'm not or actually I should say early now. Kind of early now. I don't like it. I don't like it. I liked when you watch the NBA All-Star game and DeMarcus Cousins get traded right off the floor, go to the Pelicans. But now, before I even watch an NBA game this season that's not Warriors related, we're gonna have the All-Star game, but also we're gonna have the trade deadline. So I think it's way too early now. But last year at this time, Kevin Durant got traded to the Suns, and I don't know how much stock I'm putting into this because when asked about Jordan Poole's future with the team, Mike Dunleavy said he's going to be a part of the Warriors, but he wasn't. Steve Kerr came out today and said, I know there's a lot of speculation with Andrew Wiggins, but I anticipate him being on the team post-trade deadline. I don't know if I believe him, but I am leaning in the direction that the Warriors will probably stand pat and not make a move.
Agreed. Look, Wiggins has gotten a lot better over the past couple of weeks, and maybe it's because he didn't want to get traded. I don't know if that's going to be the same output that he's going to bring every single night from here on till the regular season. But with Chris Paul's contract, obviously Klay Thompson, no one's going to want to take on a $40 million a year contract for Klay Thompson just to be a rental going into this year. Chris Paul has his contract's non-guaranteed, but they have an option for him next year. It seems like all these contracts are very tradable by the offseason. And this year at the deadline, what type of upgrade are you going to get for Wiggins at this point? If Wiggins is your only trade chip, what is it? And even Moody's hurt. What's he done this season? He hasn't really done too much. So what's the type of value you're going to get for him? I initially, about a month ago, I'm not going to be as stubborn as Cam Newton with my Brock Purdy take. I'm going to say a month ago, I was on the totally different tune with the deadline. I'm like, you got Wiggins, you package Moody, maybe you package like a first round pick, and you could net a guy like Pascal Siakam. Siakam was the only guy I really wanted, and now he's with Indiana. So what, you're just going to unload Andrew Wiggins when it seems like with Draymond's return since mid-January, because it's been a little while since we talked about the deadline, like with him, Wiggins, and Kuminga, they have really found their flow here and are working well together. And it's Draymond's kind of the director there. And if you can get him to work on the floor with those two, where Steve Kerr was just like about as reluctant as you could possibly be in getting those guys on the floor at the same time, just because they're incredibly athletic. If you could get them on the floor and you could get them scoring at the rate they are, I think they're like plus 50 in the 85 minutes since Green's return, and they've been on the court together at the same time. I think it's 85 minutes of court time since Draymond returned January 12th, and they're plus 50, which is a great number so far with that trio on the floor. So I don't think they're going to get anything for him if they do. So I think they're just going to stand pat, ride the season out, maybe be a play-in team, and just try. You know what I mean? It's not like they're going to get anything crazy in return anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think that
was a very long-winded answer. I apologize.
No, it's not.
I got too laid back, dude. I tried this new thing, laying back in the chair with the mic. It feels like it's more cash this way, you know?
God, yeah. Look, I mean, nothing like abbreviating casual.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, dude.
I'm just a cash guy, bro.
You're Mr. Cash. Johnny Cash. I would say that I think that Joe Lacob just has a hard time blowing up this team because he's just in love with what they used to be.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think they're going to trade Wiggins. I think that he's playing better, and I think that they're going to try to make it work with what they have, and they'll, at the ceiling, be a 6 seed again. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe a play-in team. I don't think that they can make any significant changes before the trade deadline. But whatever happens this season, I'm not anticipating a championship. I think they really need to look hard as far as what the future will be past this season.
You sound like you're like frustrated talking about it.
Because
you sound down, Derek.
Well, it's always sad when a team that you've watched for a long time that was championship, or that won championships, just slowly becomes not what they used to be. So
disbanding.
It's hard to watch, and like that game was exciting on Saturday night against the Lakers, but it ended, very frustratingly because, come on, like just gonna let LeBron go to the rack like that and they lose on free throws? That sucks. Yeah. And they played well against the 76ers. I feel bad for Joel Embiid. Looks like he kind of rushed back and now tore his meniscus. So I don't know how long he's going to be out now. That sucks. But yeah, man, like, I don't know. It feels like we're just trying to like hold something together that's not there anymore. And so It's probably really aggressive in what I think of tearing it down. Probably just let it die slowly. But I don't know, man. I don't think you can wait too long.
Well, you know what though? I'm sorry to jump in, but
by all means,
I think you're not really a Giants fan, but from a Giants perspective, I think their downfall was way worse than the Warriors one.
Yeah.
At least the Warriors didn't give some exorbitant contract to random free agents and also to some of the mainstays. Like they got Draymond Green for that 4-year deal. I think it's actually a 3rd-year deal with a player option. So technically it's a 3-and-1, not really like a 4-year deal that everyone thinks is guaranteed. But at least they got him for like $25 million a year, which is not terrible for the value that you're getting with Draymond if he's on the court, if he's actually playing when he's not going crazy.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson, they took a chance with the extension, didn't play the first couple of years because of the injuries. They didn't give him another one, though. They didn't force that. They didn't force him to be a lifer. I just think that it could be way worse. Like they could have given these guys contracts and you would have known that they could have been on this team for the next few years when it should have been done a while ago. Like you just got to rip the Band-Aid off. And I understand where you're coming from. But think of the good times, Derek. Think of, the time we were at Schroeder's watching game. What was it? It was the game without Steph against the Rockets. Remember that?
No, game without KD.
Game without KD. Thank you.
Game 6 in Houston. That's one of my favorite playoff games of all time.
Yeah.
I'll always cherish those
weird locker room moments in the finals. The Houston Rockets.
You talking about me?
Yeah, maybe. The Houston Rockets. Also, that other game. I think it was with James Harden and the eye. Remember that? With the eye, he got his eye poked, and we didn't know what the hell was going on. And 95.7 gave us a sweep for the night.
Yeah, of course. Dude, I'll always remember those times. And shout out A. Scott. Yeah, think about Lake Chalet. I'll always remember those times.
Oh, that's A. Scott. How you doing, A. Scott?
Look at him in a nice little suit. I will always cherish those memories. And that's why this is tough, because I don't think we'll get those memories again. So there will always be memories. Like I
never
can't
say never.
Yeah, but certain things, like speaking of Lake Chalet, how many times I walk around Lake Merritt and I'm like, fuck, this was right here. This parade was right here. Like this would have been sweet just to walk over here from my apartment and do this. But that's, alas, not going to happen now because they moved. And that's a big deal of it too now, is I've kind of lost as much interest. Like I used to go to Warrior games all the time when they were playing at Oracle. And I'm selfish in this way. So yeah, I'm kind of a little out of it now that they've gone to Chase Center. That's just how I feel. And I'm probably ignorant and stubborn in that way, but that's just the way I am. So when it comes to this team, I just think that it's slowly dying, and I think eventually they're going to have to rebuild with Steph. I don't know when, but that day is coming soon.
I don't know when that's going to be, but it's not this year because they you know what, man, like 20 and 24, they could easily just tear it down if they wanted to. They
could, but they won't.
But they're not. But they're not doing it. So I actually kind of respect them for that.
So then I wonder that Shams report where he said everyone's on the table except for Steph. I honestly think that's more his opinion than actually what was factual. Do you agree with that?
I could agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But I think he was also taking advantage of the time because that was probably the lowest of the low this season after they gave up an 18-point lead. And then subsequently the report came out that Kuminga was losing faith in Steve Kerr. I felt like everything was crumbling there. Andrew Wiggins was being Andrew Wiggins at the time, but they picked it up the last couple of weeks. They seem like they'll be at least a little more watchable. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I
on
mean,
the trade deadline.
I feel they're having a groove and they're finding their rhythm a little bit, but I'm not expecting them to be what they used to be. So it's just hard. But yeah, I could see them being a play-in team, which will still be exciting. I remember when they were playing team a couple of years ago before the championship, and it was fun to watch them against the Lakers. They lost that second game to the Grizzlies, but yeah, like with Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator, Steven, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Real quick though, with Steph Curry. You surprised he's not at this point named an all-star starter every year?
Yeah, I thought he was I thought he was snubbed for this one, but I don't really care. Like, I don't really care about the all-star games. I don't care about the all-star rosters. There are certain guys that I think should be on there, but ultimately I try to think about what I should actually spend my time mentally on, like as far as what I have issues with sports, because sometimes you sit back and, maybe I'd tell Jesse, like, oh, it's stupid. They didn't even win the All-Star game. What's the NBA doing? And then, you realize some other people are just like, I mean, whatever. I'm like, yeah, probably a stupid thing to get mad about. He does deserve it.
He does. I mean, I think he's at that point in his career. But you ask other NBA like NBA fans, like there's a difference between Warrior diehards and NBA fans. And NBA fans say Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's having a better season, but Warrior fans are like, you can't disrespect stuff like that. I don't really care. He's going to be in the All-Star game to begin with, and also I don't watch the All-Star game anymore. I watch the 3-point contest, which, by the way, very interesting. He's going to do a shootout against what is her name? I'm sorry, I don't know her name off the top of my head.
Sabrina Ionescu.
Yes, that will be very fun to watch.
Walnut Creek's own. Sabrina.
Yeah, I know. I know she's from the Bay. I just can't think of her name.
Who's my gal?
Exactly. See, yeah, who's my gal? I do that with everybody. Don't make it a thing, everybody.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that we should care more about, are you more interested, Steven, in the Doink Cam or Sweet Victory being played from SpongeBob, a great song, for the Nickelodeon broadcast?
Yeah, so
This is Super Bowl, by the way, we're talking about.
The Super Bowl. CBS released a video of their camera layout. They're going to have like 165 camera. The video made me laugh because they have 165 cameras, super slow-mo, robot cams, drones, flyovers, 4K capable zooms, like all those different types of technical terms. And then at the end, and introducing the Doink Cam. You're going to have 6 Doink cams. So I guess they're just going to have 6 cameras up and down the field goal post, like 3 on each post is my guess. And I guess if there's a Doink, then those cameras will be put to good use. And that's why I'm more excited for Sweet Victory by SpongeBob, because there's no guarantee they'll get a Doink in the Super Bowl. They're taking a big risk with that. We know that Sweet Victory is going to be on the Nickelodeon simulcast. And I'm sorry to the gentleman in the chat, but SpongeBob may not mean as much to you guys as it was to a guy who was 8 or 9 years old when SpongeBob was in his heyday. And Sweet Victory is one of, if not the greatest songs ever recorded. Ever.
Now,
Ever.
I am with you, Steven, 100%. SpongeBob has some of the best comedic moments of all time. But you know that song exists prior to SpongeBob.
Really?
It's an NFL film song that they made. It's like a generic thing that they would play. Like I've seen Joe Montana walk off the field to Sweet Victory. And not a lot of people know this, and I know I'm rocking your world right now. I do love the young people. Thank you, Ernie, too. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm crashing your world right now, Steven. But NFL Films music has always been used in SpongeBob, and that is another song that's from NFL Films lore.
Credit NFL Films for creating the greatest song of all time. Can we end the podcast soon? Can we end the podcast soon? Because
You're sad now?
I gotta go sit down and just reevaluate.
It's the thrill of one more kill,
dude.
The last one to fall. We'll never sacrifice the will.
We'll never give up. We'll never give up. When Patrick's on the what was it? Patrick with the mustache and the drums.
And Mrs. Puff with the sweet lick.
Yeah. Yeah. But my point, I can't wait for Sweet Victory.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. Didn't Travis Scott do a little bit of it? One Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, he tried.
Yeah, it was the trumpets at the beginning.
Yeah.
Real quick, Steven.
But the Doink Cam's interesting. I love a Doink. We love a good Doink.
Nothing like a good doink to spur the moment.
We love a loud Doink.
Yeah. So tell me, what is the big deal with Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari?
What is the big deal with it?
All right. What is the NFL equivalent of this?
I actually thought about that earlier. Think as if Tom Brady was still playing.
Mm-hmm.
Think if Tom Brady, hang on. What was the, God, I actually already forgot. What is the record for rings, Super Bowl rings on a quarterback before Brady? What is it, 4 or 5?
Probably 4 with Terry Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw, right? Let me look it up. Okay, yeah, it's
and
Bradshaw
Montana.
and Montana, right? So think if Tom Brady won his 4th Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
okay, was tied for the record with quarterbacks, and then he jumped from the Patriots to the 49ers. Think of it like that.
So this is a big deal.
Yes, because Ferrari, historically great. You know, like when you think of the Mount Rushmore of Formula One teams, Ferrari's in one of those spots, right?
Mhm.
It's one of the top teams of all time. And Hamilton, he's raced with another one in McLaren. McLaren's actually really popular too. It's one of the oldest in Formula One. He raced with McLaren at first, won one world championship there, and then he went to Mercedes in 2013. And in Mercedes, he won 6 of them. 6 world championships. And the reason why I'm equating it from Tom Brady going from the Patriots to the Niners is because much like Ferrari, the Niners, kind of a historic team, historically great, right? With the amount of Super Bowls, they're on the quest for 6 right now. I think they can tie the Steelers with that number.
Mm-hmm.
On the quest for 6 right now, obviously the Patriots too. But as they're on the quest, right? It was the Patriots, right? Huh?
Yeah, they have 6.
Yeah, the 6. Mercedes was kind of like the Patriots in that they weren't great at first, but then when Hamilton came along and they had Valtteri Bottas, who was his longtime partner, and the guy whose name was before him, whose name is escaping me right now, Nico Rosberg, they were winning world championships just year after year after year. And now, after this, he signed a contract through 2025 with Mercedes, and everyone thought that multi-year deal could be the end of his run. That could be his final year, 2025. Instead, he activates an option in that contract, and now he's going to Ferrari after this season, and then he's getting a multi-year deal there. And Ferrari's kind of always been his dream, kind of like Tom Brady with the 49ers. There's a lot of ways there's a lot of parallels here.
What car company is he currently driving with right now?
Mercedes.
So if I was Mercedes, why the hell would I entertain this?
Because he hasn't won a world title since 2020. There could be some friction in the team because he knows that his teammate George Russell is probably more on the upward slope of his career, where Hamilton's kind of Hamilton's still great, but he's kind of coasting right now. Like Max Verstappen is kind of like,
that's my dude.
God, Max Verstappen is kind of like Patrick Mahomes. He's kind of like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like 3 straight world titles. This dude's just one of the best. So,
all right.
Yeah, that's why it's such a big deal, because Lewis Hamilton.
No, I mean, I get it.
Lewis Hamilton's 7 titles are tied with Michael Schumacher. And Michael Schumacher was with Ferrari too. There's so many little angles.
Any relation to Joel Schumacher?
No.
The guy that put nipples on Batman?
No. No. Batman and Robin? No.
Yeah. We had to see their nipples.
Yeah. Coolio was in that movie.
He was. Wait, was he?
Yeah.
I always thought that as a kid, but I didn't know if it was actually Coolio.
Oh, it's Coolio.
Well,
he was living at Gangster's Paradise in Gotham.
Good to know. By the way, nipples started the show out with that. Full circle. How about that?
Wow.
Full circle.
What a nugget.
Yes. Real quick before we end the show, though, after I ruin that full circle, Curb Your Enthusiasm, last season, gonna premiere this Sunday. Even though I think it's time for the show to end, kind of sad, because Larry David's been, in my opinion, one of the kings of comedy for a long ass time, and now that this show's gonna come to an end, I don't know what he's gonna do. I always think that he's just been playing himself. Anyone that thinks that he's not himself on the show, I think that's a lie. I think that's how he lives his life. And I don't know. I think all of us kind of follow the rules of Larry sometimes, maybe to the point, not to the point that he does. But I don't know, like with we'll get there when the season starts, and I'm sure you and I will watch every episode and review it. I was at your place a couple weeks ago watching old episodes. Um, it's just gonna feel weird without him telling it like it is in the world that we're in today.
Yeah, but I also think we kind of get influenced by him a little too much, you know? Like,
I don't know, man. Like I wish I could say things that I want to say like Larry
yeah, but
does.
some of those things are so unreasonable. And just because Larry David says them doesn't mean it's true. Like,
Well, I've never actually like done anything that he's done,
no, but it's
but
just
I
when
mean,
he's playing a very,
I would like to.
these are his thoughts, but he's also playing a character, I think. Like,
Yes and
even when
no.
even when he's doing interviews and all that stuff, I think he's playing a character.
I don't know. I just left KMBR, and Adam Copeland was telling me a story about a buddy of his was talking about how he went golfing, and they were like, it's $11 for a bag of balls, and he was like, "Ugh, I don't need 11. Like he's arguing with the person that works at the driving range. They're like, "Sir, I just work here." He's like, "Yeah, but can't you like a better system?"
You mean is Cope's friend the actor? Because the actor from Scary Movies 3 told that story on a podcast.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, the I forgot his name, Rex something.
Yeah. Oh, Simon Rex.
Simon Rex. So
Yeah.
yeah, Dirt Nasty from Oakland.
Yeah, I remember him.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me that
He
Cope's
told that
just
story.
Cope,
He told that
Cope's-
story on. He told that story on a podcast. So
Okay.
better.
Well, I'll ask Copes tomorrow if that came actually from his friend or just he's stealing stories from podcasts now.
Yeah, that was told on like I think that was like Tom Segura's or something.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
now
because
I know.
naturally, when I was looking up a lot of Larry David bloopers for whatever, because you
Oh my
mentioned
god,
that.
his bloopers are incredible.
You mentioned it. I'm watching Curb right now. I had to rewatch it from season 3 on, and right now I'm in like season 8.
I
think.
just started season 3 again. This is
Ugh.
where he's on the I'm just finishing season 3 where he's in the Scorsese movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if you know what you're doing.
He's saying that he's but we did Seinfeld. We did one take and one take only.
Yeah. Why we got to do this again? Why? By the way, I just want to put something up here. Just say something. It's kind of bothered me since it happened. This is involving you, Alon, and you, AJ Cruz, and to all the listeners.
Wow.
I gave a diatribe about Formula One, started at about 8:50. That's when Alon's like, it's like if LeBron won multiple championships. And I gave a diatribe for 3 minutes, didn't get a single response. And then as you start talking about Batman's nipples, great auteur, Alon said. Oh, the nippled Batman, says AJ Cruz. He plays Victor Zaz, Alon says. That
Hey
bothered
man,
me.
I know what the people want. And you
Nothing
going
about
on and
him.
on
That's a
about
good-
God knows what when it comes to Formula One is not what people want to hear.
That's yeah, Steven, that's pretty cool. But Batman's nipples, though.
Well, because you brought up Schumacher, and I was like, I got to talk about Batman's nips.
Just being honest, it was something that bothered me. I was like, huh, I'm insecure that way. I was like,
By
huh.
the way, speaking
no,
of Batman,
no comments. Just as soon as Batman's nipples are mentioned, then we start responding. All right.
have you heard about this? Speaking of Batman, the new Suicide Squad game, they kill Batman in it.
How?
They shoot him, but as I've said before, the best Batman of all time, in my opinion, is Kevin Conroy, the voice of the animated series Batman. And his last appearance as Batman is him getting shot on a park bench by Harley Quinn.
Don't like that.
That doesn't sit right with me.
It's a terrible. That's a video game?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's going to change. Like it could just be some snippet that got released and then Batman shows up at the end. But fans are outraged.
I understand that.
Yeah,
That's stupid.
I don't like it at all.
What game's it for?
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. Why would they make a video game out of that when the movie stunk?
Well, the new one was actually good.
Oh, was it?
The one with Idris Elba and John Cena. Yeah, no, that one was good.
Oh, with the Peacemaker.
Yes, Peacemaker.
Hmm.
Good show, actually, by the way, too.
Didn't watch it.
It was fun.
Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
Yeah, I guess they go around killing all of the former Justice League people in it, but I don't know. I don't know if I love the last appearance by Kevin Conroy in that context. Yeah.
What are the odds?
All right. Anyway, that's it for this episode, unless you have anything else to say, Steven.
No, just want to. We had him.
Oh, Alon says the Justice League is evil in the game. Okay, maybe I don't know the context of this.
God damn it, Derek.
Well, even so, I don't know if I like that with Kevin Conroy.
But you didn't even know about the video game.
Well, I'm not a nerd. Anyway. On that note, Alon, I'll see you in Vegas next week, man. We'll do a show on Monday. We'll give really in-depth analysis of the Pro Bowl. Actually, I have no idea what it is. It's not even a game anymore, right? It's like a video game tournament.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know either. Anyway, we'll be back on Monday. We'll do a little Super Bowl stuff. I'll be gone for a couple days in Vegas, and I'll come back, and we'll do a big old Super Bowl preview show on Saturday. Sound good, Steven?
That sounds great to me.
All right. Until then, everybody that was in the chat tonight, all of our friends, thank you for watching and listening. Steven, say what you always say.
It's just Batman's nipples, man.